Hello out there, Caniac Nation. Thanks for joining us for session 47 of Caniac Sessions. I'm Griff.
And I am AB.
AB, what's going on with the towel over there, buddy?
I'm just switching it up, you know. Just wanted to make my presence known.
Oh
Red
wait, there's
Lobster
more. You got a bib?
bib.
You got a headrest?
Yep. I just wanted to switch it up a little bit. I mean, that's okay.
Okay. All right. I like it. Anyway, we've got a pretty good session planned for tonight. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we get going here, I just want to make it known out there to everybody the following. Listen up here.
No, honestly, I don't think this represents a huge shift for our organization. We didn't hire ChatGPT to be the GM.
I will say I have used Chat GPT a while. So if my girlfriend sees this, I have maybe sent some texts,
Oh, okay. I like it.
Bridget, well, I'm sorry, but just got to get some influence from
for those of you that
AI.
For those of you that didn't listen to the Eric Tulsky press conference today, that quote was from that conference, and that was in response to his analytical background and whether we would notice a shift in the organization, basically. And he answered with that. The organization didn't hire ChatGPT. I thought it was hilarious. I literally laughed out loud. I thought it was awesome. That was hilarious. Perfect.
Very
response.
Funny.
He was planning that one all day.
Oh, 100%. He had it in his notes.
He has Twitter also, by the way. Anyway, so let's get going here. First things first, we are brought to you by someone new. This session, AB.
Yeah.
We have a new partner with the network, and that is Manscaped. So we are going to talk about Manscaped here in just a second, but we're brought to you by Manscaped and DraftKings as a member of THPN. That's the Hockey Podcast Network. Two great sponsors, and we're going to go directly into Manscaped, and we're going to talk about them since they're new. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code THPN. Summertime and the trimming is easy. AB, I do want to bring a couple points to your attention.
Okay.
Because every man does know how scary it can get when you're going for the close shave below the belt, right?
That's right.
So that's why I trust Manscaped for my sensitive areas. Can't beat it. Cannot beat it.
I will say the same thing. It is a lot easier if you use the promo code. You'll get a little bit of a discount. You know how it is with some razors, and if you go to somewhere else, if you buy some other razors, Manscaped has a smooth feel flashlight, and it is 100% nick free. So buy it, use the promo code. Best investment you will ever make. Men, talking to you, ladies, you could also use it.
Or buy it as a gift.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so get 20% off plus free shipping with code THPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. It's Smooth Sack Summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind. All right, AB. That's our new partnership with Manscaped. We're excited they're on board. That's a great deal. I mean, for real.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're also promotional partners with SeatGeek. You guys know that. First-time ticket purchasers can use promo code Caniac Sessions. That's one word, no space, between Caniac and Sessions to get $20 off your first ticket purchase. Take advantage of that. That helps us, it helps you, and it helps SeatGeek. All right, AB, you ready to get going, buddy?
I will say this about SeatGeek. If you're in Raleigh, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan coming Sunday. Use the promo code. Wednesday, the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Ice Cube are coming.
Wow. Really? I didn't know that.
Absolutely. I'm going to Ice Cube and the Red Hot Chili.
Well, you know
Red
about
Hot
some
Chili
Ice Cube,
Peppers.
maybe.
I gotta
That's my
say,
day.
today was a good day.
That's my day, man.
I know a little bit about it, but use our promo code. You can get a really nice discount on those tickets because they're not cheap. But if you use our promo code, it'll be a little bit cheaper.
All right. AB, let's get going here. Busy day today across hockey, across the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of transactions. I didn't really anticipate the action that was going to take place today. Kind of caught me off guard. The cup final still being, 5 games into it, Edmonton pulling Florida back to Alberta for a game 6 that will take place Friday. You kind of thought that everything would kind of be put on hold like it usually is until after the cup final. But I guess the NHL GMs are kind of like me, and they feel like these playoffs have been going on for decades. I mean, I just do. Mm-hmm. It feels at this point, it feels like it's been going on longer than the regular season. And not to mention that the cup final has already been going on for a week and a half after that long break between the conference final and the cup final. And it's been going on a week and a half. And we're still just short of 48 hours from puck drop of game 6 in a series that kind of feels like it might go to 7. I mean, we'll see. But anyway, today, trades everywhere, right? So they started off this morning. We found out that Jacob Markstrom is going to the Devils, New Jersey Devils, with Ball, the defenseman, going the other way. Also a 2025 first-round pick going back the other way as well for Jacob Markstrom. I believe that Calgary is retaining just over 30% of his contract, so the Devils get him for about $4 million annual value for the remainder of his contract, which is, I mean, not a bad deal. Markstrom has shown signs of decline. I thought at the beginning of last year when we were going through the beginning of this season, we were going through all the goaltender issues. I thought Markstrom was a good target, but I've kind of, pushed him away. I don't know about that. So we'll see if he works out for Jersey.
I will say this: Jacob Markstrom, when he was in Vancouver, was solid, and he got a big pay raise when he went to Calgary. A little bit, here and there, a little bit mid. And New Jersey last year, they had it figured out with Vanacek. And then once the playoffs hit around, they went to their backup. Backup played really well. Then they played us and exposed them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a veteran move. I think New Jersey gave up more than they could have given up.
I think
Markstrom's a great goalie, but I just New Jersey. I don't think they won that trade whatsoever.
Well, I think a lot of that had to do with the cap retention, right? So they're, they are up next. They're skirting. You're flirting with the top of that cap. So I figure the retention is what sent the first rounder back, and instead of being something lower, maybe. But anyway, we'll see how it works out. Also, shortly thereafter, Ty Dellandrea from Dallas is traded to San Jose for a 4th-round pick. San Jose was also, they were busy all over the place today. They also claimed Barclay Goodrow off waivers from the Rangers, did them a solid. The Rangers placed Goodrow on waivers yesterday. And if you know anything about that contract, it carries about a $3.5 million annual value. And I believe there's 3 years left on that contract, either 2 or 3. Not a very good contract for a 4th-line grinder. I mean, he played well in the playoffs, but basically that feels like that was prearranged, right?
Yeah.
New York knew that San Jose would claim him. San Jose is probably trying to get up above the cap floor. So anyway, and then one that kind of blew me away that I don't think anybody was expecting is Pierre-Luc Dubois was traded from the LA Kings to the Washington Capitals, 1-for-1, straight up, with Darcy Kemper going back the other way. No salary retention, right? So the way I understand is Pierre-Luc Dubois' full no movement clause was due to kick in on July 1st. So LA took advantage of the timing, traded him, and now Washington takes on a contract that has 7 years remaining at $8.5 million annual. Once the no move clause kicks in on July 1st, that runs for 4 years before converting to a modified no trade clause, which I believe allows him a 5-team list, 4 years, 5, 6, 7, or well, it would be years 6, 7, 8 on the back end. So Washington takes a huge risk because Pierre-Luc Dubois has not played to his potential. He did not play up to that contract in LA in year one. And so, we'll see. But Pierre LeBrun did report that Pierre-Luc Dubois is excited to go to Washington. I don't know if
just to touch on those two things, Delandria has a lot of potential. And for him to go to San Jose for a fourth, I think San Jose won that trade. San Jose has a lot of draft picks, and they're getting ready to get the first overall pick, which is going to be, what's his name? Massarelli from Boston University. And also,
who is San Jose? Celebrini.
Yeah. Celebrini. That's what it was. And they're also getting Barclay Goodrow. Do I think he was worth picking up? No. I kind of understand what Mike Greer is doing, adding depth and adding physicality. You get a guy who's physical and is a grinder, can play on the fourth or third line. When you talk about the trade for Darcy Kemper and Pierre-Luc Dubois, Darcy Kemper was coming off a great year 2 years ago when he was playing for the Avalanche. This guy looked like he was going to be the cornerstone goaltender for the Avalanche, and he signed with Washington, and Washington just didn't have the pieces. He struggled, and Dubois, like you said, didn't make the impact that he was supposed to in LA. So it's a 50-50 trade there. So we'll see what happens, but
Yeah. Last little bit of news here is it's been announced last week that the Hockey Hall of Fame will announce the inductees on July 25th. Or excuse me, June 25th, not July. So next week, we will find out who the next class of Hall of Fame inductees are. And I will just say, it better include one Rod Brindamore.
Absolutely.
I'm sick of this. It's past time. Put him in.
Has over 1,000 points. Great coach. I mean, he has one of the best resumes, and he's been robbed, 3 years in a row? So it's time. NHL, Gary Bettman, if you're listening.
I don't think it's just on Fame. I don't think it's on Bettman. I think it's on the board. I'm
going to blame it on him.
I blame Ron Francis. So.
He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Rod Brindamore, Hall of Fame this year. No excuses.
Absolutely. All right. Now we're going to get into our main discussion here. This episode is titled, "There's a New Sheriff in Town." And there is. Today, Eric Tulsky, the next general manager and current general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, held his introductory press conference. He sat up there in front of the media by himself at the desk and took questions as the sole GM of this organization. It was reported, I heard that there was, his staff members and even Rod Brindamore was in the back listening in. And, it just says something that they were there to support him, listen in, and it just shows you that they have his support, or he has their. They have his support. Wait, how do I say this?
You got it. Go
Did
ahead.
I get it right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just try it again.
Oh man, rough day. He has their support. So, yeah, awesome. In his opening remarks, he did indicate something that we all have known, and you can hear it here.
This is a complicated offseason. I think we all know that. There's a lot of free agents, and we're going to have to work to be creative on solutions to keep the team moving forwards. And with that, I will open up to your questions.
I will say, oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I will say this, watching the press conference, if you haven't and are listening to this or watching it, which I hope you are, go to the Canes account, watch the live stream. I felt like Tulski was very calm, cool, and collected, more than Don Waddell was. And I compared it to his Don Waddell's press conference with Columbus. And, you know, Don really didn't say thank you or, you know, to the Hurricanes or anything like that. I don't know if it was stress or something like that. But Tulski clip, I don't know if we'll play it. I'm not sure. He talked about he shut down the claim. Reporter asked, you know, what's the status on these UFAs, and he shut it down. Yeah. Which was really, really professional and really caught my eye that, you know, he doesn't care about what the media thinks. He cares about the players themselves.
Yeah, he definitely, well, he opened up and basically said, you know, it is a complicated offseason ahead. He said that he believes that they have, they have the, they're in basically a good position to be able to succeed this offseason. So he did, you know, identify that up front, and it's what we all knew, right? So good sign there. And yes, he did stay away from any kind of player or team news, basically, I guess. He indicated that it was a stressful time of year for the players and that he doesn't want to put any more stress. So today was mainly, you know, he kept it about him. He kept it about the hire and basically the way forward of, you know, the way that the organization moves forward, and kind of, you know, basically what he said at the end of the day is nothing is changing. You know, there may be some changes or some tweaks in processes. You know, he indicated that they will have to do another external hire. Need to hire somebody to the staff, the front office staff, to replace him, basically. Whether that's internal or external, we don't know. But, you know, he did indicate that. But as far as the, you know, the way forward of this organization, nothing is really going to change. They're going to approach this team and running this organization like they always have. And here's another little clip about something he talked about the free agents, what we were just talking about.
We are in the process of talking to agents and working through deals and trying to figure out how things will work. We have a lot of truly outstanding players and people, and we probably aren't going to be able to keep all of them. And that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt us on the ice, and it's going to hurt us in the locker room. At the same time, it does open up opportunity for some of the players we have to step into bigger roles on the ice and in the locker room. And I think we have players who are capable of that.
Yeah, so that was the extent of the free agent talk. I mean, you know, they can't keep everyone. We know that. And there was another question that was asked about, you know, I think it was right after that statement. Somebody asked him about, you know, how Carolina likes to send players to free agency to test the market and see what they're worth, basically, and see if they'll circle back and take the deal offered on our side. And you know, he indicated that if he doesn't have to go July 1st, he won't. He wants to try to get things done beforehand if they can avoid it. But he did say that, you know, sometimes players have to go to the market. Because they need to know to basically see what's out there. But that's kind of been a perception. The team kind of does that. I don't know if that's a Dundon thing or a Waddell thing or what it is, but he probably, but he did indicate that he would like to skip the whole July 1st thing and just get it done beforehand.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're coming off a year where a lot of Hurricanes fans are being like, "This is it, this is a year," and you have now free agents Teuvo Teravainen, Marty Necas, RFAs, Seth Jarvis. You also have Stefan Nason. You also have Brady Shea, Brett Pesce, Jordan Martinook. I mean, the list goes on and on. And, you know, obviously you can't keep everyone. We would like to keep everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Once July 1st hits, it's going to be very interesting. But, you know, sign the guys that you think are going to stick with the team and elevate this team, good locker room guys. And I'm not saying some players aren't bad locker room guys, but you know, you got to keep Jordan Martinook, Stefan Nason, Jalen Chatfield, who was already re-signed, which was a really good deal. Extend one of the best defensemen in the NHL. We'll talk about that later. You just need to get better. You don't need to take a step back, even with a change in management. You need to keep going.
Yeah, so there was a lot of questions brought up during this press conference about how he didn't have a background in hockey, right? How he wasn't a hockey player. He said that his thoughts behind that are that this is an executive leadership position, basically, and that you don't need a hockey player to do the job, right? So he indicated that his former roles, right, of managing people and basically being a facilitator has prepared him for this job, right? So he's been in the organization for 10 years. He says that this has taught him a lot about the inside of the operation and not just kind of the view that we get as fans and the media gets looking in. Mm-hmm. He has learned about what happens on the inside and how that operates. He said that he came in as an outsider, but now he feels like an insider. In 10 years, he's been in the organization. That's a long time. That's a long time to be with one organization, especially in the sports world. So, you know, he does know a lot about the operations and how things work inside that nobody sees from the outside. So I think that's a key point right there and a good point that he made. You know, and that's what it is. It's an executive leadership position. You have to understand your people, right? As an executive, you have to understand, you have to basically facilitate the needs of the team and the wants of the coaching staff and the you know, the scouting staff and facilitate and go out and get what they want and make that possible to bring in the organization. And that's something that he said, and you could just tell that in a room full of hockey people, he was still the smartest guy in the room. And I'm sure that that's the case no matter where he's at.
Yeah, I'll relate to that a little bit. You know, obviously, you know, and people that have been listening, I do D2 softball and baseball commentary, play-by-play. I played a little bit when I was younger, didn't really get that far. What really matters is that you work your way from the top. You really understand what the game is if you watch it, you know, and obviously hockey people, they're going to want to go to a person that has had hockey experience, and that is totally understandable. But, you know, you have to give these guys a chance where they may come from a totally different background. However, Tulski, been with the team for 10 years, has worked his way up from the bottom to the top.
Yep.
And that really shows dedication, and that shows that he is ready to be the captain of the ship. And, you know, just because you didn't play hockey doesn't mean you're not smart enough to run an organization. That may be a hot take. I understand if people argue or disagree with it, but you never know until it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last quote we'll play from the Tulski press conference, and then we'll move on to a couple other discussion topics. But this sound bite is in reference to the organization and about how they are in a good position to be successful.
Yeah, look, it's a challenge, right? This organization has been consistently excellent for several years now. Over the last 4 years, only one team has more points in the regular season. We have 6 straight years winning at least one series in the postseason. And that's been outstanding for us. At the same time, nobody is satisfied with that. Nobody goes into the business dreaming of having a lot of regular season points and winning a round or two. So the goal is to find ways to keep getting better. And the good news for us is we are well positioned to keep taking steps.
So nobody is satisfied. 1. 2, we are in position to keep taking steps forward. 2. That was a great quote, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are successful. We have been successful. We are one of the most successful teams in the last 4, 5, 6 years. But we haven't gotten over the hump. We aren't at the top. We know that. We are not satisfied with that. And we know that our objective moving forward is to make changes, to continue to put a good product on the ice, to get over that hump. That tells me they're not looking for a rebuild here. They're not looking for a retool. I mean, yeah, you got obvious retool with, free agency and the contract situation, but they are looking to put the best product that they can on the ice that has a chance to compete for a cup. That's the goal. And that's what that tells me. The goal is not save money, let's, sign the guys we want to sign and then, work this out for the next 3, 4, 5 years and then make another run at it. No, this is, we are still at the top. If we do this right, we can stay at the top and we still can make a run.
Yeah, I always go back to a quote that I have in my head. Rome wasn't built in a day. And obviously, you want to win as many Stanley Cups as you can. We have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals twice, haven't won a game. That is totally, frustrating, understandable. But would you rather make an Eastern Conference Finals once and then be miserable for the next 5 years? That doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not going to call out anybody, but I really want to. We have a great system here. We have great players here that we have signed. Yes, there are a lot of UFAs, RFAs. I trust Tulski in what he is going to do. And, I don't have any complaints.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was a good press conference. He thanked Don Waddell. He thanked his counterpart in Darren York, Rod Brindamore. And then, he toward the end, he talked about Tom Dundon and that said that the input that he has received from Dundon has been very valuable and very helpful. And then on the organization's approach to decision making, Tulski indicated that there is always disagreement in the decisions made, right, within the organization. But he embraced it, right? So he says that his role as the GM is basically to foster disagreement from various places throughout the organization, right? From the coach and the scouts and the GM and the assistant GMs and Tom and everybody together, and bring that all together and basically help them make the best decision, right? He also says that the conflict within the organization is a good thing and that it's what you want. So it sounds like to me, we've talked about the GM coming into this position would need to be okay with the way that Tom Dundon runs the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've said all along, like, it can't be anybody else but Eric Tulsky at this point. And it seems like he is fully on board. He's with the way that the organization's run. So I really, really expect him to succeed. And I'm excited for what the future holds for him, for the organization, for us as fans, and just everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Shifting away from GMs, do you want to go to Chatmandu?
We will. But before we go to Chatmandu, we have to hear from our next sponsor, DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
The chase for the Stanley Cup continues, and the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is just as hot as it is on the ice. With same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more, don't miss out as the Stanley Cup playoffs wind down. And if you are new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/ice for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. All right, AB, we're back.
We are back, and we're going to Chatmandu now.
Let's go.
Jalen Chatfield signed a 3-year, $3 million contract. What do you think about the deal? What do you think about how Jalen Chatfield has impacted this team?
Look, 3 years, $3 million annual value. I think it's a great deal for both sides. I mean, some of the projections out there had him above 3.6 million over 4 years, right? And I don't know if anybody, I'm sure that, listeners or the viewers or whatever, if they listen to us, they probably listen to the Warning Take or watch the Warning Take or whatever. And if they have, they probably heard me say this, but I think the 3-year term is better than a longer deal for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And let me explain. I think that the 3-year term gives the organization less risk, obviously, right, in the length of the contract. I don't think there's a lot of risk, because I think Chatfield's great, and I think he'll continue to be great, but you never know what could happen injury-wise.
And he's only 28.
Right. But the 3-year deal gives the team less risk, right? And it also gives Chatfield, it gives him a chance to cash in again before he gets too far into his 30s, right? So say he goes 3 years here, making, taking a little discount, making $3 million a year, and he crushes it. And he plays himself into a higher value deal in 3 years. So now for Chatfield, instead of having to play a 5-year deal at $3 million, he's only playing 3, and he gets a chance when he's only 31 years old to cash in on a bigger deal, right? Maybe that's with Carolina, maybe that's not. But so Carolina gets a little bit of a discount for a little less term here. Usually it's the other way around, but in this case, I think it makes sense given his age and his chance to cash in. So I think, where everybody was like, well, we want to keep Chatfield longer than 3 years. I think this actually makes sense for both sides. Carolina doesn't like a lot of term on, people that aren't named Jacob Slavin, and and yeah, I think it just works out for both of them. And I just think it's kind of telling how the contract came in right as reports started circulating that the Slavin extension was complete. Right, they can't finalize that or announce it until July 1st because of the, he just has a year left on his current contract. So, but they're really close friends. They go to church together. They are very, very close. So I think that kind of, it kind of plays together. So, it was announced that there was a deal offered back earlier in the season that was lower value, that was turned down by Chatfield. So, props to him for waiting it out and getting a little bit more money. But yeah, I think it's an outstanding deal.
Well, obviously, when we went into the season this year, we got Tony D'Angelo, and we expected the performance that he had 2 years ago. And Orloff and D'Angelo, we thought was a solid pairing. And in the back of my head, I was like, maybe Chatfield is a little bit better. And we found that out when D'Angelo and Orloff were struggling. Jalen Chatfield is a defensive defenseman. However, he has an offensive upside.
Yeah.
He gets better every time he's on the ice. And to get him for $3 million when, in my opinion, if he were to go to free agency, he could have easily gotten something for $4 million.
He probably could have, yeah.
And
absolutely,
you have him on your top four. Again, it's all depending with Brady Shea, Brett Pesce, but Orloff and Chatfield pair great together. Orloff, offensive defenseman, kind of a little bit of a two-way. But Jalen Chatfield is more defensive-wise. He hustles every single time he's on the ice. And he has an offensive upside. So to get a guy like that for 3 years, $3 million is a steal. So I'm really happy with the deal. Obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with our players. But Jalen Chatfield is where he belongs. And we found this out. Elliot Friedman put this on 32 Thoughts podcast this morning.
Hold on a second. I'm not done with Chatty, man.
Go to Chatmandu. That's fine. Go to Chatmandu. Stay there.
Yeah. So, you can number your defensive pairs however you want. If like you said, it all depends on whether Shea's resigned, Pesce resigned, whatever. You can number your defensive pairs however you want, but it's not, it's not a secret that the Chatfield Orlov pair played top minutes in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They played more than Slavin Burns. They played more than Shea Pesce or Shea D'Angelo there toward the, after the Pesce injury. So, Jalen Chatfield is a top 4 defenseman. He can be, his potential is as high as a top pair defenseman. There's no question in my mind that he could play alongside Jacob Slavin if needed to. But he can be a top pair guy. He has that potential. You can, the thing about last year is we had 3 top pairs. I mean, to be honest. So, somebody has to be called the third pair, I guess. But, they did play top minutes. But I think it's cool to note this, that, now that Chatfield is re-signed, Carolina has its top 2 defensive pairs, assuming Pesce and Shea walk away in free agency. They have their top 2 defensive pairs signed next season at just over $21 million. Right. I think the official number is like 21.33 or something like that.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I think it is. So I think that, Scott Morrow is likely going to be one of your third pair defensemen. It's yet to be seen who will play alongside him, but it'll probably be a cheap veteran. If we can't bring back either Pesce or Shea. And I'm not sure Shea's coming back, especially given the deal that Philip Roenick just signed yesterday in Vancouver.
Overpay.
I mean, look, I think Shea deserves more than him. And
what is $7 million?
7.5 by 8 years, I believe.
Good Lord.
So that's a max, deal for I mean, he's a solid defenseman, don't get me wrong, but I think Shea's got the better offensive upside. And I mean, and Shea is just as solid defensively as anybody, in my opinion, not named Jacob Slavin. So
yeah. Hronek was glazed so much in the playoffs, and I will give him credit. He scored a lot in the playoffs for Vancouver.
Yeah.
Again, Vancouver, Quinn Hughes, that's your top defenseman. And then Philip Hronek came from the Red Wings and in Vancouver, and he gets this huge payday. But speaking of defensemen, do you mind if I switch?
Have at it.
So, Elliot Friedman reported this on 32 Thoughts on the morning of June 19th. Yep, this morning. Slavin's extension contract is probably going to be signed when free agency hits at 8 years, $6.5 million. What do you think about that deal? Because I have my thoughts.
It's a steal. I mean, I hate to say it's. I mean, I don't know what the negotiations or the talking points in this negotiation were, obviously, but I mean, as good of a deal it is for the organization, the money is kind of low for Jacob Slavin. Now, the money is low, yes, in a lot of people's opinion, but he got 8 years out of it, and that's going to take him to 39 years old. That's going to guarantee him a paycheck all the way through 39 years old. And if he ages like the alpha male of our species, Brent Burns, then maybe you can 1 year him after that, or maybe he just retires. So he's guaranteed, as long as his health remains, he's guaranteed to play through 39 years old, right?
Yeah.
So yes, the term or the value is low, but the term is excellent. He's going to retire a Hurricane. He's going to remain a Hurricane for life, and rightfully so. He is what this organization's about. He's the kind of player that this staff and this coaching staff and the front office, the kind of player they're looking for. And he is one of the best defensive defensemen in the entire NHL, and it's not even close.
The best.
It's non-negotiable. And I don't really care what anybody's opinion is, because I watch him every night.
So. I will say this is that you and I have talked about it. Sebastian Aho got a huge contract, almost $10 million. The way that Jacob Slavin has been playing, he easily could have gotten $9 million.
Well, a lot of the projections showed him at 8 years by 7.5 or $8 million. I mean, we did the episode with the Warning Take with Brandon where he projected, or did we? I don't know if we did that one. Maybe we just watched. I think I just watched it. But he did a projection, and he had a ton of statistics laid out, player and contract comparisons that were very accurate. And, he arrived at a $7.5, $8 million value. And, Brandon was like, hey, look, if it comes in anything lower than that, I'll be pleasantly surprised. And sure enough, and now let's just remind everybody that this is a report from Friedman, and it's, usually Friedman's spot on. And, there's very rarely, and I don't even know if I can't even recall a time off the top of my head that he was been wrong, but this is not official by the team yet. And, I don't know if it's finished. I don't know if it can still change, or if there's could still be negotiations. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Does the Roenick deal shift it at all? I mean, I don't know, but this is solely based on the Elliot Friedman report this morning on 32 Thoughts, but just a great deal for the team. And as much as it is an underpayment on Slavin's part, he gets the 8 years and he remains a Cane for life.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done. That's all.
I will say this, that Jacob Slavin has been involved with this community for years. And I've met him before. I've talked to him before, and how we've interacted with each other, he really doesn't care about the money. He wants to be somewhere where his family is happy and live in a great neighborhood and play hockey. And the Hurricanes gave him that opportunity. And Jacob Slavin obviously is, in my opinion, the best class act in the NHL.
Hey, 2-time Lady Byng winner.
But with the defensive trophies or defenseman or defensive offensive trophies, Erik Karlsson won it last year. Had over 100 points, and plus minus was terrible. I think they need to have a trophy that's for a defensive defenseman. If it was for that, Jacob Slavin would probably have 3 of them.
Yeah, I was just saying, you said he's a class act. I said, hey, look, he's the Lady Byng winner twice in a row. I believe he's the only 2-time Lady Byng winner. So what did he have? 6 penalty minutes this season? And I believe 2 of them. That. I believe 2 of them were for puck over glass delay a game.
I bet he said sorry. My apologies.
But yeah, so it's obvious that if this is indeed where the contract comes in at $6.5 million for 8 years, that he wants to be in Raleigh. He's made this his home, and he wants a bunch of studs around him. Right? He wants a solid team, and his friends out there that are also up for contracts. Maybe they can take a page out of the Jacob Slavin playbook, and they can do some of this. Some of the. I'm not saying take millions off, but 500,000 here, 750,000 there,
just tiny bit.
Just shave off a little bit. That could go a long way, and you can stay.
Well, he has a great partner.
Yeah,
who I enjoy, the alpha male of our species.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's still here for another year. So,
talked enough about Jacob Slavin, Marty Necas.
We're gonna get into these rumors
about it. Absolutely.
All right.
Pierre LeBrun has indicated today, by the time of recording, if you're listening on audio, there have been concrete trade offers for Necas, but the Canes wouldn't say yes to. It will probably heat up in the next week at the draft unless they receive an acceptable offer beforehand. And there's a rumor, Don Waddell in Columbus, Patrick Laine, and there is a huge rumor that Jeff Skinner may be bought out.
Yeah. So back to Necas quickly, right? So, so there's indication that teams have reached out, made offers, but Carolina views Martin Necas a little higher than the offers that are coming in. This could go to draft day. I still expect him to be dealt, but you never know. But it does sound like that there has been activity recently, kind of like has been reported and speculated, but we'll see what happens with Martin Necas. And maybe it pops up and happens like the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade and Darcy Kemper trade today. Maybe it just comes up and smacks us in the face, or who knows what could come of that. But yes, as AB indicated, Patrick Laine is on the trade block, has indicated he wants a trade out of Columbus. And there's some Canes fans and media members out there that have kind of explored what it would look like with Patrick Laine coming to Carolina. I don't like it. I don't want Patrick Laine in Carolina. It's too much money for the risk that you are taking on. We did this with, well, to a lesser extent, we brought in Jesse Puljujarvi last season at the trade deadline. Didn't work out. Yes, we did not spend a lot of money on him.
But that was more injuries.
Well,
all right. Sorry,
that's
I won't
fine.
Interrupt.
That's fine. It can be. I don't care what it is. It's still a rehabilitation move. Then we bring in Evgeny Kuznetsov, who played well, right? For the most part, he played well at the beginning when he first got here, and then he played well at certain times throughout the playoffs. But he's another project, another rehabilitation player. We'll see what happens this year, but I don't necessarily agree with the way the team utilized Evgeny Kuznetsov. I think that they should have unleashed him on the second line.
Yep.
And I think it could have made a difference at certain times, especially in the Rangers series. I know they didn't like his defensive, his defensive lapses or whatever, but I just think that there could have been something done to be able to roll Evgeny Kuznetsov on your second line instead of Jack Drury or Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
So you're opposed to Laine?
I'm opposed to Laine. I am sick of being the rehabilitation center of the Metropolitan Division.
I understand that. However, Patrick Laine, second overall pick. Last year, 55 games played, 22 goals, 30 assists, 52 points. This year, 18 games, 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points. This guy has potential. I mean, Rod, yeah, Laine. Rod brings the best out of these guys. Yes, it is a 50-50. But I think if you get a player's coach, and there are not a lot of them, Patrick Waugh, one of them, I think he can bring the best out of Laine. You put him on a line with Aho. There's a connection there from the World Juniors. I think it may be a smart investment.
It depends. It depends. It depends on how much salary that Columbus is willing to retain. I don't want a 4-year, $8.7 million contract on a risk.
Yeah.
Okay. And it depends on what's going back the other way. I'm not doing a Natchez for Laine trade.
Okay.
I'm not doing that. I don't want nothing to do with that. If we're going to explore Laine in Raleigh, there better be significant money retained.
KK for Laine.
I still want salary retained.
Well, it doesn't matter. KK sucks.
No, I want salary retention or I don't want anything to do with it. Right?
Okay.
It's not even a guarantee that, look, if you're going to pay somebody $8.7 million, go give it to Gensel.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care how old Gensel is. I don't care how old Laine is. If you're going to spend $8.7 million on a 4-year contract, give it to Gensel. I mean, maybe he calls for a little bit more, but Chatfield we just saved like $600,000 on Jalen Chatfield contract. Put that $600,000 toward this $8.7 million and give Gensel 9.3. I don't care. You know what I mean? I can't. If we're not going to pay Jake Gensel, I cannot justify bringing in Patrick Laine without any salary retention. In my opinion.
Right. Well, let's shift over. Jeff Skinner, reported by Elliot Friedman. Skinner is a potential buyout candidate. 3 years remaining at $9 million AAV.
I don't buy it.
Do you take the risk?
I don't. Well, first of all, I don't believe he's really going to be bought out. So I think that, because look, let's be honest, right? So Jeff Skinner has 3 years remaining at $9 million per year, right? If Buffalo buys that contract out, they are going to spend a lot of money and acquire a ton of dead cap over the next 6 years. That'll be spread out over 6 years. So I don't buy it. It would be easier if Buffalo could convince him to waive his no movement clause and retain a little bit of salary for 3 years on a trade rather than buy him out and take some dead cap for 6 years. Right.
Yeah.
So I believe that this report, right, and it was only reported by Friedman yesterday, right? Or if you're listening to this via audio at a later time and not live, it was reported on Tuesday, June 18th. I believe it was Friedman's appearance on the Jeff Merrick show. So yeah, I think that it's a tool to get Jeff Skinner to consider waiving his no movement clause, and I believe Buffalo is looking to trade him. So if they make a trade, again, they could retain a little bit of salary, get something back in return for it, and really save money over a salary retention strategy rather than buying them out. So I believe that's what the tactic is. Again, AB, some Canes fans would like to see Jeff Skinner back in Raleigh. And again, yes, but I wholeheartedly disagree. I don't want Jeff Skinner in Raleigh again. I don't think Rod Brindamore wants Jeff Skinner in Raleigh again. I don't think Rod would have him. I don't, because basically his lack of defensive abilities. I don't think Jeff Skinner skates fast enough. I think he's too slow. People like to say that skating is his strength. Well, I would argue that figure skating isn't hockey.
That's true.
Yes, he is shifty. Yes, he can skate. His technique and, things are great, but he's slow. And slow doesn't equate to the system that the Hurricanes play. He's not very physical, right? He doesn't forecheck well. Although Brandon from Warning Take would disagree with me there. He thinks that he forechecks using his stick or something. I don't remember what he said.
No,
he's going to explain all that.
No, that is I can't say anything bad because we're a family-friendly podcast. But
well, Brandon will explain all that when he does his piece on his show. But I don't believe he's a forechecker. I don't believe he can forecheck.
Absolutely not.
And he's got his defense is next to none. So I'd take Natchez over even a disgruntled Natchez who is playing in Raleigh next season. Even though he doesn't want to, I would still take that over Jeff Skinner. So in my opinion, AB, and this last thing I'll say, and I'll let you have it, Patrick Laine and Jeff Skinner can hold hands and kick rocks somewhere else besides Raleigh. I don't want them.
AB cuss me out. I wish I could, but I can't. Jeff Skinner, there's no point. That ship has sailed. He was really good for us when he was here. He got a huge payday in Buffalo. Congratulations to him. He can score, but he's not fit in Rod's system. No. I don't care how many goals he scored last year or this year. Every time I've seen him, he's been on the ice and just floated around like a figure skater. Yeah. Actually, like a blimp at the NASCAR races. So that's all I have to say. Griff, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah. So I was just before we ended here, I was just flipping through or just scrolling through X just to see if anything jumped out at me. And I know that Barclay Goodrow has nothing to do with the Carolina Hurricanes, but there's this little the first thing on my timeline is a tweet from a San Jose beat reporter. And it says that newly reacquired San Jose Sharks forward Barclay Goodrow is reportedly unhappy with the New York Rangers and how this journey back to San Jose went down. There was a belief that San Jose was on his no trade list. So he had a no trade list. They knew that. So they waived him to bypass the no trade list, and San Jose played him. They did my boy dirty.
Well, Gaudreau
I didn't even realize
anything.
I didn't even realize that till they totally backdoored this guy. I didn't even realize
All
that.
right, let me look at his stats. Let me look at his stats real quick.
Well, his stats
169 points, 509 penalty minutes.
His stats are trash.
Oh, I don't think he needs to have like a restricted don't trade me to this team. Like, dude, he sucks.
Look, I don't care. It doesn't look. New York signed him to that. The Rangers signed him to that contract, right? They signed him to a $3.5 million, 3 or 4 years? I don't even remember what it was. I believe it was a 4-year contract. And they gave him trade protection. He negotiated that in good faith. They gave him trade protection. And he had it.
Liner.
He had it. And they knew that. And so they knew they couldn't trade him to San Jose, which is why, because I said, I don't remember where I said, I don't know if I said it on this
that happens
podcast or if I tweeted it or whatever, but I said, why didn't San Jose just trade and they could have received an asset to take this contract off of New York's hands? Obviously, they're trying to dump cap.
Well, they don't have a lot. Yeah.
And so they're probably trying to sign Igor to a long-term deal, and they're probably trying to save some money. So, yeah, they totally waived this guy, and knowing that San Jose wanted him, dude, I'd be unhappy too. I'm just saying, that's rough. That's all I got to say, AB. Take us out.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to session 47 of Caniac Sessions. If you haven't and are watching us right now, me waving my hands on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification bell to not miss a upload that we put out. You can follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, Caniac Sessions. You can do the same thing on any platforms for podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon, wherever it may be. If you want to keep up with Griff, you can follow him on X at M_Griff10. If you want to keep up with me on X, you can follow me at AB Caniac Session. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live stream and audio. We will see you in session 48.
Bye.